Okay, one other thing I discuss all day in my practice is, are carbs good or bad? Or when I tell people eat apple or eat, carbs, people are like, oh, I thought carbs were bad. I'm like, yes, you can eat apples, yes, you can eat carrots, and yes, you can eat, legumes. They're not the reason why there's obesity crisis in the world today. It's not because of apples. It's because of M&Ms and that kind of stuff, and Pepsi and stuff. I'll talk about it in a second. So if you're talking at a restaurant and you're having a meal, and then someone says, yeah, carbs are bad, then turn off your ears, because basically they don't know what they're talking about. Some people think that, sorry, that's a bit of my rant, think that dietitians go in school for 5 years in university and end up learning Canada's food guide for the whole 5 years. I don't know how logistically that would be probable. How can we spend 5 years or 4 years in university to learn Canada's food guide? No. So in carbs, you need carbs because your brain needs carb. If you don't eat carbs, the body will make it from the food you eat and from your muscles, which is why the low carbs diet, all of them are bad, because you always end up losing a whole bunch of muscle mass. People selling you the carbs diet, the low carbs diet, they will say, no, you don't lose your muscle mass. It's not true, you do, because there is so much energy your brain can take from fat. At some point it has to turn and use sugar, so it turns your muscles into sugar. So that's one of the reasons why those diets don't work in the long run. So this is a complex carbohydrate carb. It's very healthy. Your brain needs the sugar, and the sugar is digested and absorbed really slowly, so it gives you a nice stable blood sugar curve, so you're happy. It also has vitamins, minerals, which your body needs. It also has good soluble fiber, good insoluble fiber, good food like prebiotics for the bacteria in your gut. So, and it has antioxidant and phytochemicals. Antioxidants and phytochemicals are in fruit and vegetable, and there are the molecules that attack free radicals. Free radicals come from, and I'll talk about it in the next segment, they come from burnt fat, and free radicals will cause cancer. So antioxidant in fruits and vegetables will protect you against cancer. So you have to eat fruits and vegetables if you want to be healthy in the world. So there is no diet that should say do not eat apple or do not eat lentils. Lentils are high in fiber, soluble fiber, insoluble fiber, and it is high in protein, healthy plant protein, and they're also healthy in a lot of carbs. But because of all the protein and the fiber, the carbs are digested slowly, and the blood sugar is very stable, so you don't crash, you don't get all stressed with low carbs, low blood sugars, I mean. So this is a bad carb. Now, I don't like to use bad for any food, because technically there's no bad food, there's only bad habits. If you tell someone, a dietitian tell a patient, don't eat those food are bad, you know what happens? Psychologically, the patient wants it more. Don't eat this, then of course they're gonna want it more, right? I remember my girlfriend in high school, her mom didn't want her to date a certain boy because he wasn't a good boy. Well, guess what? She liked that boy even more. Same thing for dessert. If you say you can't eat that, it's bad, you want it more. So yes, you can have those food once in a while, but they're not the greatest, and you shouldn't have them all the time. And the reason why they're bad is because they don't have vitamins and minerals and phytochemicals and antioxidants and fiber and the whole stuff. It's because it's only sugar and fat together, and usually it's not a good fat. It's a fat that is shelf stable, which means that it's not a good fat. It saves the company a lot of money to use the kind of fat in those foods, but they're not good fat. They're not olive oil, or you get it. And the one thing that everybody in the world should know, in the developed countries anyways, is that the food industry is very smart and very sneaky. They know that there's a ratio of sugar and fat together that the body really craves. And the more diet you've done, the more you crave those food, because there's so much sugar, and that it will make the pancreas release insulin, and the fat will get stored. So those foods are really fattening, because there's a perfect ratio of sugar and fat. The actual ratio is 50-50, and there's a whole book about that you can read. But the food industry knows that there's a place where people will eat a food even though it doesn't taste good, even though they're full, because when you eat that food you feel better. So if you actually taste this, I do this in mindful workshop, mindful eating workshop sometime. If you actually put this food in your mouth and really taste it, you go yum yum yum, but there's actually no taste to them. It's just sugar and fat. Whereas when you eat a good raspberry that's sweet, you taste all the different flavors, blah blah blah. These food you eat to make yourself feel better. You eat them when you're bored, or when you didn't eat all day and you're trying to put more calories in you, or you're lonely or depressed or anxious, or we eat those food to make ourselves feel better. It's been shown that eating those food, actually there's a reward going in your brain, like in your reward center. There's a dopamine release. So people overeat these food because they've been engineered for your brain to like them and eat them even when you're full. So you can eat a whole piece of cheesecake after you're full, but you cannot eat an apple after you're full. See, these foods are fattening, these foods are bad, where these carbs will never make you overeat. Here's the difference.